We'll have to go there. I know a few people up there.
Are you going without the sport guy? How can you go without the sport guy? I'm the tips guy.
Well, actually, I think we could work that in the
squeeze you in.
We could, actually. We could.
Absolutely.
But it is a big gathering of the Irish. And what have you got to say about Cheltenham?
I've got to say about Cheltenham is that it's 2 years. There's been no crowds there for 2 years.
Yeah.
Last year, nobody at all. A couple of years ago, obviously, that's the reason that COVID spread. That was the reason. It was all down to Cheltenham.
You were
you?
Yeah.
Did you have it at all?
No,
there?
no.
Okay.
No,
Did you catch it afterwards?
No.
Okay. Well, this is I mean, there was a lot of. I mean, we're joking about it, but there was a lot of talk about that.
It was. Yeah.
And interestingly, there was another game that Liverpool were playing Atletico Madrid at the same time, which interestingly, you've got Man United playing that, but that's an aside. But Cheltenham, then, you've got the Cheltenham Roar. First time the Cheltenham Roar is going to be heard. The Cheltenham Roar, which is always the first race goes, everybody cheers. The moment the tape goes up, the horses go, everybody screams. That's the famous Cheltenham Roar that they say is louder than a jumbo jet if it flew over Cheltenham. Yeah. So that's how loud it's going to be. And as you mentioned, it's the Irish pretty much own Cheltenham. Yeah. So I think it was 23 out of 28 races were won by Irish horses and Irish trainers last year. Yeah. So hoping for a change, maybe?
Well, all I'm trying to tell Isabel is it's very cold. It's always cold.
Well, yeah.
But then I suspect you'll get yourself inside and on a stool.
And perhaps with something to inebriate me.
keep the heat in.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's just something to warm the cockles.
Right.
Somebody 1,000 spectators.
We need some racing tips.
You know what? I have. And I've gotten to some people that I know and that are very reliable. But obviously, so this doesn't come back to me if these don't win. I just want to make that clear right now. So the champion hurdle.
Yes.
Everybody's talking about Rachel Blackmore winning the champions hurdle on Honeysuckle for the second year, who is the hot favourite. In fact, she's so hot favourite. I think it's probably you'd take money from you'd have the bookmakers and probably place a bet with you. That's how hot favourite she is. But if you want to go somewhere else, Tia Hoopu is the horse.
How do you spell that?
Don't even ask.
Tia Hoopu.
Tia Hoopu. I think it's an island in Fiji or somewhere in Fiji, I believe, but I will give you the spelling later.
Sounds like somewhere I should be going to.
Yeah, sounds like a drink.
Well, if you keep eating that much melon, I think you probably will. But Tia Hoopu, each way 9-1.
Okay,
how about let's have an each way 9-1.
Each way.
This is funny.
Neither of you will be here tomorrow should these things work. I mean, this is going to be the 450. How about the tide turns? There's a horse
and it is
Tide Turns.
The Tide Turns
6-1. Mm-hmm. So there's one, and one more for you, and that's the 530. I feel like Jimmy Young. It's like the Run Wild Fred.
Oh.
Run
Wild Fred, which is 13-8.
Okay,
so
I'm going tomorrow, so I'll take 13. The tips again tomorrow.
Well,
Same
when
time
you
tomorrow,
win with those, they will then see you okay for tomorrow, and then I'll have some tips for you tomorrow as well.
Mate, in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Could the tide be turning? I'm just saying, City dropping 2 points last night.
It's like a race at Cheltenham, You've got the horse coming up on the inside. You've got Man City. Bernardo Silva said yesterday that he thinks that they're in the right place. They're happy to be where they are. They're 4 points ahead of Liverpool. Liverpool have got a game in hand, got to go to Arsenal, which is not going to be an easy game this week, but it feels like Liverpool and that horse.
I mean,
you see what I'm doing here, going on the rails.
This is the third time in a week I've had to cheer for Liverpool.
How does that feel?
League Cup final, then against West Ham, then against Arsenal, because it's obviously in Man United's interest that Liverpool beat Arsenal.
It's uncomfortable, though, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, see, you're fine with it.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. As long as it works out for you.
Anything for United.
Anything for United. Even cheering for Liverpool. Mm-hmm. But I think the way things are going at the moment, Liverpool have the momentum. Man City are faltering a little, 0-0. I mean, how many shots they had against Crystal Palace, but could not score. Crystal Palace are the last team that actually had managed to shut out Man City, and they've done it again.
What about the way things are going for Nick Candy at Chelsea?
Right, now, this is an interesting one because we've got so many different bids, it seems. Now, obviously, a lot depends on what's happening with Abramovich and also whether he is allowed to sell. It seems the way, I'm looking at stories, everybody's putting their bids in, but where the money goes, whether it goes to Abramovich, nobody seems to be mentioning that. But property developer, Chelsea fan Nick Candy, apparently has the funds in place with Sir Martin Broughton, who's former Liverpool and BA chairman. So there's one.
Okay.
Another group is the Saudi Media Group, which would be a very interesting bedfellow considering everything that's going on at the moment. So I'd be surprised if that goes ahead.
Here's what surprised me. There is a man who obviously is running out of funds. That's him in a main airport terminal.
Tel Aviv,
Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
And he's there with all the punters sitting on his bag. Well, you wouldn't be sitting. You'd be on a private jet, wouldn't you?
Well, he was on a private. Apparently, his private jet flew in and out of these. That's how they found out where he was.
With
But
respect, I don't think he was
there.
flying EasyJet there, Raymond, was he? I think he's probably got a few quid still in the bank.
Well, he's still sitting on a case, on the, you know, as if he was.
It's Louis Vuitton, though, isn't it?
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, there's the other one. There's Todd Bowley, who we mentioned last week, who owns the LA Dodgers in the States. And Jonathan Goldstein, who's another property developer, it seems to be property developers, interestingly a Spurs fan. So he's getting involved. There's so many different bidders now that we're seeing, and also loads of American owners of different sports clubs over there that are also throwing their hat into the ring, but it's got to be in by the end of the week. So it looks like it's going to happen. It's just where it goes. But I don't think Chelsea are going to see the sort of money that they've been used to from Abramovich, whoever takes over, because I think those days are now over.
Okay. Look, we've got to leave it there, mate. Thank you very much indeed.
Good luck with those tips, Damon.
Thank you.